All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again, man. I appreciate all the love and support with you guys coming over. We are back on the Recollection Road video. As always, I'll leave the link to their channel in the description. Now, look, hey, I'm telling you, man, they got some amazing videos. Like, I'm just looking at the thumbnails. It's so nostalgic. This video right here, though, I had to check it out. It says, everyday objects today versus 100 years ago. I just want to see what it is that I use today and what it looked like 100 years ago. Again, man, check their channel out. They got, if you like to be thrown back into some history, whoo. All right, we ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Recollection Road is proud to partner with Legacy Box. Watch until the end of this video to find out more about digitizing your family's irreplaceable memories, and then visit legacybox.com/recollection
I hope this
for an
screen is big
incredible
enough.
55% off.
Hope this is big enough for y'all to screen. $19.20. Iron?
The iron was typically made of cast iron and had a flat base for pressing clothes. To heat the iron, it was placed on a stove or a charcoal heater until it reached the desired temperature. There were also some
I mean, that pretty much look the same, pretty much. I remember back in the day, I used to have to put the iron on the stove to heat it up to use it. I remember that. The struggle was real, y'all. That's all I'm going to say.
electrical irons at this time that you could plug in to a light socket. You could then iron your clothes by applying pressure to remove wrinkles and creases. The ironing board was also pretty simple and was usually a foldable surface made of wood, which you could lay your clothes across for ironing.
Pretty normal looking. No cushion though. A toaster. What the hell did that look like?
Electric toasters were starting to gain popularity during the 1920s.
Oh,
they
Lord.
consisted of two metal heating elements, one on each side, into which slices of bread could be placed. You would manually push down bread into the toaster, and the heating elements would toast the bread evenly on both sides. Once toasting was complete, the bread would pop up due to a spring mechanism.
Hey man, bring that back. I kind of like that. Comment below if you still got it. Telephone.
Telephones in the 1920s were mostly rotary dial phones.
Yeah.
When making a call, the user would pick up the handset and listen for a dial tone. To dial a number, they would insert their finger into a rotating dial, corresponding to the desired number, and rotate it until it reached the finger stop. The dial then returned to its original position, signaling the number to the central exchange.
I mean, I used not that exactly, but I was, I had the one with the fingers. Yep. Razor.
In the 1920s, safety razors were commonly used for shaving. These razors had a protective guard that shielded most of the blade, reducing the risk of cuts. You simply inserted a double-edged razor blade into the razor head, and then you could shave by running the razor across the skin.
That looked like it hurt. I've never shaved with a razor before. Never. Skin too sensitive. Bathing suits.
Bathing suits during the 1920s were typically made of wool, which was heavy and didn't dry quickly. Women's bathing suits covered most of the body, some with long skirts, which were very modest.
Looked like prison.
Men's bathing suits were a little more revealing, but still covered much of the body compared to modern swimwear.
The women with the stripe look like the damn Hamburglar. Cars.
Cars in the 1920s were powered by an internal combustion engine and fueled with gasoline. They had a basic manual transmission system, which required the driver to shift gears manually using a clutch. Cars had mechanical brakes operated by foot pedals and often had wooden or metal bodies mounted onto a steel frame.
Those are nice. I know I did a vlog for it, but it's just crazy to think. But in LA, where Biggie Smalls got shot at, there's a place in it looks so crazy. I forget the name of it. I swear I do. But if you watch that show, La Brea, you know what I'm talking about. That show with the sinkhole, and it has that place there. But basically inside there, they have all these cars. I mean, from 1920s to the Batmobile to, I mean, any car you can think of. It's a really, if you're into cars, man, I suggest going there. It's really, really cool. Really cool. Refrigerator.
Refrigerators during this time were basically just ice boxes. They were insulated wooden or metal cabinets that held large blocks of ice to keep the interior cool. As the ice melted, a drip pan would collect the water, which needed to be emptied on a regular basis. The ice had to be replenished daily to maintain the cooler temperature that kept food fresh.
I wasn't picturing that at all, like with the wooden outside. A music player. What the?
Phonographs and gramophones were the primary music players in the 1920s.
Ooh-wee.
They used hand-cranked mechanisms to rotate a turntable. A needle attached to the tone arm would then make contact with the record's grooves, amplifying the sound through a large horn-shaped speaker.
Boy, we come a long way. My goodness. Oh, the camera. It's gonna be...
Cameras in the 1920s were analog devices and used film for capturing images. They had basic manual controls that focused the lenses and adjusted the exposure. The photographer would load a roll of film into the camera, and after taking photos, they would then need to have the film developed to see the pictures.
That thing looked nice, though. Oh, a stroller. What did a stroller look like back in the day?
Strollers in the 20s were pretty basic and had large wheels that helped with maneuverability. They were often made of wood or metal and had fabric seats for the baby. These strollers had no advanced features like reclining seats or shock absorption, so the child would get quite jostled around while on a walk.
Walking down a cobbled street. Oh yeah, we know what this looked like.
Football helmets from this time period don't compare at all to modern helmets.
Yeah.
This early protective headwear was made of leather and provided really limited protection. Players wore them mainly to protect against cuts and bruises, rather than any significant head impacts.
Boy, look at that, man. You talking about CT, what is it, CTE? The dollar bill.
The US dollar bill during the 1920s had a similar design to today's currency, but some were considered certificates and had larger sizes, while others were banknotes that were issued by national banks and featured different portraits of historical figures. These were still paper notes that represented a specific denomination of money and could be used as a form of payment, just like coins from the era.
All right. Hey, it's money. Oh, wait, the toilet.
By the 1920s, American building codes required indoor bathrooms in all new single-family residential construction, so outhouses were replaced with toilets that used a flushing mechanism, but they were not as efficient as modern toilets. They required gravity and more water per flush, and they often had a pull chain or handle that released water into the bowl. The tanks were sometimes set higher than what we are used to, which helped to provide the toilet with more force, but some models were tankless and used a pressure valve to provide the water power.
I know some people, I've seen some houses where they have the old ones. Flashlight.
Flashlights in the 1920s had become essential tools for any household. There were basically two styles, the tubular handheld one and a lantern version. They both used incandescent bulbs and were powered by batteries, both of which were considerably weaker than what we're used to today.
Of course.
Some flashlights still flickered or flashed, as the name flashlight suggests, but over time they became more reliable.
That first one looked like a microphone. Tissue? Toilet paper? What?
Toilet paper during the 1920s was, believe it or not, available in rolls, similar to today. Led by the Scott Company, rolls of toilet paper were first used by the wealthy, while people without the means may have used pages from the latest Sears Roebuck catalog to freshen up. The paper was typically made of low-quality paper, and was not the soft, modern toilet paper we now know. Charmin, however, would be introduced in 1928, bringing soft-touch toilet paper to the masses.
Oh, they've been making money for a long time. A calculator.
Calculators during the 1920s were primarily just a mechanical device. They often used gears and dials for numerical computation, and if you had a complex calculation, it still required a much more manual effort. These machines looked a lot like cash registers, and they were sometimes called adding machines. It would be some time before the computing power was increased, and the size of these machines decreased to resemble the calculators of today.
Dang, boy, you'd have to like count money back then. A vacuum.
Vacuum cleaners in the 1920s were becoming a much more common appliance in the home, but they were usually large and quite heavy machines. Hoover was at the forefront of making them so popular. Following World War I, they introduced an aluminum body, an on-off switch, and an agitator brush that cleaned carpets better. The vacuum was one of the many new devices marketed in the 1920s that promised to liberate middle-class women from the drudgery of housework.
Boy, that thing look heavy. A blender? What we got?
Blenders, as we know them today, got their start in 1922, when Stephen Poplawski devised a machine for making malts and milkshakes for soda fountains. The concept of blending or mixing ingredients manually was still prevalent, and people found that with a blender they could save time and mix things up better than if they used a hand-operated mixer. Hamilton Beach would go on to develop their own version that worked to improve the design made famous by Poplawski. Overall, technology has come a long way since the 1920s, and these objects have undergone significant advancements to become more efficient and convenient tools that make our lives better every single day. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and maybe even consider supporting the channel over on Patreon.
You know, when I look at this stuff, some of the stuff like, I love toasters. You know, I like to have me some bacon, eggs, and toast. Just something real quick. But that toaster looked pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie. I know you can go to the toaster and kind of look and see, but that one, you could really see your bread start to darken or whatever. But man, like just really, really think about how much stuff has changed. And I just feel like back in the day, like if you wanted to use something, you know, you had to put a little bit more effort into it. And, you know, the things today, I mean, as convenient as they are, I just think it made a lot of people lazy, you know? That's what I love about videos like this. Like, even the car, you want to drive, hey, you got to put some work into it. You want to push a baby in a stroller? Stay away from the cobble streets or sidewalks. I remember back in the day when I used to work at Lowe's, they told me, well, one day we were getting some new cash registers and they moved the old ones out the way and underneath was cobblestone. And they say, yeah, the whole gardening department, because I worked in the garden department, they said the whole floor used to be like this. So I said, people were walking around with their shopping carts talking about, it was hard to steal, though. You couldn't just run out the door with a cart anymore, you know. But this was a very, very, very cool video because, you know, it's cool to see things kind of like just get better, you know, easier to use. But some of the stuff like the toaster and what else? I don't know. I feel like some of the stuff, I know though, you can watch there was a video I seen. This lady, it said this lady is still living like she's in the 19 somethings, and her house, the furniture, everything she has in there is like old school. Even the way she dressed, it's crazy. It looked like WandaVision or something. But all right, appreciate y'all coming over, man. Hope y'all enjoyed. Peace out.